All right, everyone, we are up to chapter 5 today, and chapter 5 is about intrigue. How to be ridiculously likable. Yes, that's the aim of the game, to be likable. So, one thing to take away, the main thing to take away in terms of the saying is birds of a feather flock together. I'll repeat that. Birds of a feather flock together. We like people who like similar things to us or who picks up similar things to us. So what that means is that we are attracted to them. We are like flamingos. We like people who have similar interests, who have similar hobbies or similar traits. So in this particular chapter, she goes into talking about the similarity attraction effects. It says that people like and are attracted to others who are similar rather than dissimilar to themselves. And this is quite common human behavior. If you think about it, if you see, for example, walking on the street, you'll see certain different groups of people congregating together. If you see anime lovers, you'll see that they have a very similar theme and look and makeup. I have a friend who loves anime, and she goes to the anime convention, and they dress very similar. I have mates who are into menswear like myself, and we dress quite similar. So that commonality, that sort of community vibe that we have, is the aim of the game here when it comes to this sort of conversational piece that we're talking about. So in this particular chapter, she talks about it's easier to get along with someone who enjoys the same activities and conversation topics. Yes, spouses, friends, and more likely to have similar personality traits than randomly assigned pairs. So yes, they do say opposite attracts, but more and more so, people look for similarities when it comes to connecting with people. When someone agrees with us, it makes us feel less alone and more right in our own opinions. If we can relate to someone strongly, we might be able to better predict their behavior, future decisions, making us feel more control. Okay? We hope that if someone is similar to us, then there is a greater likelihood they'll be attracted to us. Like begets like. So that's a wonderful thing. So when we are interacting with someone new, try and aim to look for commonalities in the environment, in what they're wearing, and point it out, something that you generally are interested in that person at that moment in time. It could be their earrings, it could be a beautiful pair of shoes they're rocking, or it could just be the venue that you are at. So we should be, in these conversations, we should be trying to thread and have common themes. So having these Me Too moments, it's like when someone brings up, I like Manchester United. Me too, I love Manchester United. And then we can go on and on about what happened during this season, how badly we've done, how poor our signings have been. So we have those Me Too moments. It connects us even more so, and that makes us more likable. So, for example, if someone comes back from a trip to Thailand, oh, I love Thailand. Maybe we were there at the same time. What was your favorite spot in Phuket? It allows us to connect in that manner. On the other hand, one of the biggest mistakes people do is pointing out their differences while they're trying to connect. So when you're connecting with someone new, or even a family member or a friend, not having that Me Too moment is handicapping the connection from the get-go. And what it means by that, so for example, if Orange is the New Black, it's a TV series, and that gets brought up, some people might go, I never really got into Orange is the New Black. I thought it was kind of boring. I have friends that are into Severance at the moment. Severance is an Apple TV show, and they talk about it all the time. My thread to connect with them is like, whoa, tell me more. Tell me what the storyline is about. What's the first few episodes like? Is it a slow build-up, or is it a big build-up from the get-go? For example, someone that talks about being gluten-free. Oh, you're one of those gluten-free people, huh? Don't you think that's a fad? So if someone brings up being gluten-free, you doing that is going to have a disconnect from them, right? So these kind of not me sort of comments that we make push the other person away. We don't want to be doing that. The whole point of communication and conversing with people is to connect. And it shuts down the conversation. It really does. It turns people off. It's one of those things where, for example, I had a moment where I wanted to go on roller coasters. And I have certain friends who hate going on roller coasters. And they immediately shut that down, which is fine. But they could, in retrospect, if they wanted to connect with me more, they could have, deep dive into why I like roller coasters, and vice versa. So if we're here to connect and we want to be more likable with people that we are talking to, similarities make such a big difference. Okay? Does this mean you constantly have to blindly agree with people that you are connecting with? No, you do not. Of course not. We're not here to brown nose. We're not here to be disingenuous. Okay? But it does mean we have to put effort into searching for real similarities and shared interests. And if there isn't shared interest, and what I shared in the last couple of videos is everyone is here to teach us something. So even if you're not interested in that topic, asking more about it might be able to bring out more insight into that subject matter that they're talking about. Okay? Don't fall into the not me trap. Instead, find a way to find me too moments. Me too moments. That's what we're looking for. It's like, oh, yeah, me too. I like that. Yes. Like if you're a Manchester United fan and you're talking to a Liverpool fan, you're all right. You're going to disagree with each other, but your me too moment will be football. And your discussion will be around how Liverpool crushed it this season. Or there's many, many layers that you can thread. So searching for me too. We like people who look like us. One study found that we're more likely to help people who are dressed like us. Like I mentioned earlier, with the menswear stuff, with the anime stuff, there's just that sort of flocking mentality. You can see it all the time in public. It's always the same. Yes. All right. So, we engage in exact same behavior as everyone else. We do it with potential clients, aligning interest and work method. We do it with our new friends, comparing music tastes and weekend activities. We do it in line with strangers, commiserating over the long wait, commiserating over the coldness of the air that we're standing outside in the freezing cold in winter. So commonalities is what we're looking for, even in small talk. Okay, so the hack that she talks about in this particular part of the chapter, she calls it thread theory. Find and follow threads of similarities to be more socially attractive. And this is what Vanessa says. Every interaction should be about finding threads of commonality. Yes, commonality. Every thread that binds you, bring you closer to a person. The more threads you have, the more socially attractive you become. And that's how we become ridiculously likable. Okay? So what happens with people, with our minds? We walk around carrying like this big knot of strings. Our thoughts, what we're going through, and just everything that's happening throughout the day. What we're trying to do is trying to pull the threads out slowly so where we can connect with the person that we are talking to, whether it's a brief moment or it's a deep and meaningful conversation. We're trying to pull these threads where we can connect the dots. So there are three main categories of commonalities that we can pull from. Firstly, people, mutual contacts. So you're meeting someone new and there's a mutual contact that you can thread together are the best ways to find threads of similarity. You can also liven up the conversation by searching for mutual friends that you might know. Context. Think you don't have anything in common. think about the context of your meeting. Maybe you're both on LinkedIn, or maybe you're both at the same conference. All you have to do is ask about it and get the conversation going. So if you're in a networking meeting, for example, what brings you to this part of town? What is the interest in this particular meeting? What do you hope to get from this meeting today, in this networking meeting? Or if you're going to a wedding and you're seated in a table with a whole bunch of new people, commonality is, which side do you know? Do you know both the bride and the groom, or do you just know the bride or the groom? Oh, where did you guys meet? They might say, we're high school friends. Wow, high school friends. That's amazing. That means you guys have been friends for so long. So that sort of things. So she gives some examples which are fantastic. So for example, with people, the people component, I've highlighted it quite lovely, quite there. So as an opener, right? As an opener to the conversation about people, the people part, how do you know the host? The possible 30 is, you work at so-and-so. Do you know so-and-so? Did you go to school with so-and-so? I saw we are mutually connected through Simon. You went to so-and-so school. Do you know so-and-so? That is the possible thread. Oh, I saw you speaking to Anna. Have you known each other for a very long time? Are you a friend of the bride or the groom, like I mentioned earlier, or roommates, or employees, or boss? And you can connect threads, and then you can then start talking about their jobs, what they do for their role. How interesting is that job? So this is all to help. Yes, it is sparks. You're creating sparks with that person. And going back to being interesting is to be interested. So this is all about playing into the other person, being genuinely interested in them. And we're searching for commonalities to be interested in them about. In terms of context, she goes, how long have you been part of this particular group? That is a possible thread. Do you usually come to these type of events? Great venue, huh? Right? Have you been to this conference, restaurant, event before? You haven't been to this restaurant? Do you know any great local restaurants around here? What are your thoughts of the venue? How long have you been living here? I saw that you're part of so-and-so LinkedIn group. Okay? So, and you can also look for common threads with things like I mentioned earlier about what they're wearing. So if you notice a keychain, or you notice a bumper sticker, or a t-shirt, or a scarf that they're wearing that is supporting a team, that could be a thread into, for example, how long have you been a Liverpool fan? So in my morning walks with my dog, there's a guy that we see that I bump into every morning. And one day we had a little chat because he's a Liverpool fan, because he was rocking a Liverpool scarf. We had a quick 3-minute conversation, but now we feel like we know each other a lot more, because he sees my Manchester United jacket. So those are the little things that you can tie each other together. Okay, these thread theory questions can be used in groups with new people, or even email and cold messages. Every time you discover a common thread, it links you and them together. Us, we and them together. So that's hack number 1, okay? Commonalities. Find commonalities. Don't overthink it. That's hack number 1. Hack number 2 is, when you find the thread, you follow the thread. So you've got to pull on the thread, right? Pulling on the thread. When you find commonalities, don't let it pass by. Ask other person why that is important to them. Ask them to teach you. Teach me. Tell me more. Yes, those are key things to ask people when you find these threads. When you stumble upon similarities, don't just jump to the next topic. Never do that. Take it further, because there is more to deep dive into when it comes to that subject matter. And find out how they got started. If you hear shared interest, don't let it hang without comment. Dig deeper. Digging deeper and making people share their insights about a subject matter that they really enjoy is how you become likable. I remember many years ago, my mate Andrew brought me to the local pub, and I met some of his work colleagues, and immediately they had a preview on the big screen TV of UFC, and one of the guys there is into UFC. I'm also into UFC. So I brought it up, and then we started talking, and we started just breaking down all the different fighters and all the different grappling positions, and if he's trained and all that sort of stuff. And we just became buddies straight away. Of course, I let him talk most of the time. He knew so much, and he shared his interest. He shared his martial art experience. And that's how, till today, when we see each other from time to time, he cannot forget that moment, that conversation. That's how, from my own experience, how I became likable with that particular gentleman. So just search. Key thing is to search for commonalities and then thread it with questions. Why? Why is that important to you? Why did you start that? Why did you pick that up? Why did you go to that school? There's so many different ways, right? Now, this third step that she suggests in the book is to create ties, and this is to link and bond you and that person that you're trying to connect with. After you search for commonalities and follow the thread you found, the next thing, this is optional, right? This is optional, and you got to come from a genuine place when you provide this option, is how could you help? How can you help them? When you say so basically when they say they have a problem, you say, I'm going to help you fix it. And if you can genuinely help them fix it, that is when you create that bond and that tie, which is what I love. Every time you offer help, support, and advice, you create deeper bonds with someone and permanent similarities. Wow, that is powerful. So for example, let's say you met someone new. Since you're new to town, I can send you a list of my favorite local restaurants. So if you've got a cousin in town that you haven't met and they're in town for 2 weeks, of course you can't spend every day with them, but you can send them a list of the favorite places that they can go and check out. That's being very helpful. Or I'm sure I know someone in that industry. Connect with me on LinkedIn and I can introduce you. My wife does this amazing. So when she has friends who've quit their jobs and they're searching for new roles, she tries to connect them with her recruiter who's really good in recruiting for that particular market. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. And so, for example, if you find, I have a mate that loves to cook and barbecue and slow cook meat. So every time we catch up, our similarities is to talk about barbecues. We talk about barbecue meat and really good steak. And he teaches me different techniques around that. And he sent me a few different recipes. So that's where we connect. Our similarities are there. So can I help you with anything? That's what we should ask. If you really, really are genuine and want to tie it all together. Okay? This is Vanessa's favorite thread question. Can I help you with anything? That's phenomenal. So for me, one thing that my friends like me to do is to organize trips. So I asked them, can I help you guys organize this trip? Yes. For me, that creates some similarities when it comes to when we travel together. But the third step, she says here, since step 3 of the thread theory is optional, you actually have to mean when you use it. Don't just give. Don't just say that you'll give and you make hollow promises. You must follow through, because if you don't follow through, your word is your bond and your reputation can be tarnished. So like I said, like she mentioned here, the third thread, where you want to connect the ties, is optional when you do offer help. So do mean it, okay? Okay, bonus. And this is from Lewis Howes. Lewis Howes is also phenomenal at basically threading things together. He has a great podcast called The School of Greatness, which I love. Lewis, keep crushing it. So if you can't search for a Me Too moment and you can't find commonalities and you find it really, really hard, but they're talking about a subject matter that you can't relate to, Lewis Howes uses this technique. It's called teach me. Teach me. Tell me more. Please, I'm interested to know. What is it like? Here's some of the ways you can teach me a thread. I've never heard of that book that you're reading. What is it about? So that's what I'm doing. I'm talking to you guys about Captivate. Yeah? Captivate right here. So hopefully you can ask me what it's about. What an interesting career that you have. I've never met anyone in that line of work before. Tell me about it. So if you meet someone that basically installs sprinklers, you're like, wow, never met a guy that installed sprinklers before ever in my life. Tell me, how'd you get into that role? What gave you the inspiration to start installing sprinklers in office buildings? All right. How did that come about? Yes. And if you like, I love talking about holidays. And so, for example, I've never actually been out of the country, or I've never been to that place, but would love to travel to that place. Have you guys got any insider tips for a beginner? Fantastic. I love to bring it up when I catch up with friends who just came back from their trip, and I like to just talk to them about that particular place. Man, they can just go on and on and on about that trip. So, thread theory, phenomenal. Finding the thread, that's number one. Finding the thread. Secondly, pull on the thread. Pull on it as much as we can. And option number 3 is optional, is trying to create ties by trying to offer help, or for them to teach you more about that subject matter. So don't overthink the conversation. Don't overthink it. Just search for commonalities. Even in small talk, the commonalities around the weather. I know people bring that up all the time. But if you go and you talk and you give people a response, because I think talking and having conversation is a real dance of, hey, look, man, yeah, the weather, it's terrible today. Man, it is terrible. Thank God I got this new cashmere beanie. Oh man, feel it, feel and touch it. Yes. What are your thoughts on this thing? Tell me. Yeah. So you can basically give a much more insightful, novel response, so that you can potentially give them threads to latch onto. So the better your responses as well, also gives the opportunity for people that you are talking to latch onto threads that you are offering. So that's my key takeaway. Phenomenal chapter. I love this because I get to talk to you guys, and I get to talk and relearn what I've read. So it's a hack. It's a hack for me reading books. So thank you. That is, I know it's a long one, and I rambled on a bit, but that's Captivate, chapter 5. Yes, chapter 5. How to be ridiculously likable. A lot of insight there. Gave you guys some solid examples, but we'll talk again tomorrow. All right, peace out. Check out the book. Love it to bits.